The sun was barely awake, yet the air in Oshodi already carried the smell of roasted corn, exhaust fumes, and the sweat of early morning traders. Yellow Danfo buses screamed for passengers, their conductors hanging from the doors like restless lizards. Hawkers moved between cars, balancing goods on their heads, groundnuts, phone chargers, pure water in blue sachets. Amina stood at the junction, her bare feet resting on the warm tar. Her dress, once pink, had faded to the color of old dust. She was small for her age, but her eyes carried the sharpness of someone who had seen too much. She had no mother, no father, only the street and the sound of coins clinking in her palm when she sold gala and biscuits. She had one rule for survival: don't trust too much, don't hope too much. That morning, as she weaved through traffic with her tray, something unusual caught her eye. A sleek black SUV was parked by the roadside, its engine humming softly. Inside, through the tinted glass, she saw a girl about her age. The girl's hair was neatly braided, her skin glowing, her school uniform spotless. She held a thick book and was scribbling something, her lips moving like she was reading aloud. For reasons Amina could not explain, she slowed down. That girl looked different. Not just rich different, but lonely different. The kind of lonely that even money could not hide. Then, the car door opened. The girl stepped out, and the noise of the street seemed to hush for a moment. She walked towards a small shop across the road, holding the book close to her chest. Amina's feet moved on their own. Something, fate, curiosity, or maybe hunger, was pulling her closer. She didn't know that this moment, this small choice to follow, would change both their lives forever. But just as Amina was about to cross the road, a Danfo bus swerved sharply, the conductor yelling, "H. You won't die." She froze, heart racing. When she looked back at the shop, the rich girl was gone. Amina stood still for a few seconds, scanning the busy roadside. The black SUV was still there, engine on, driver waiting. But the girl had vanished. She bit her lip, annoyed at herself. People disappear in Lagos like raindrops in sand, quick, without explanation. But something about that girl wouldn't leave Amina's mind. The way she clutched that book, the quiet look in her eyes, it was like she carried a secret. She crossed the road carefully this time, her tray wobbling on her head. The shop the girl had entered sold drinks, sweets, and cold sachet water. Amina stepped inside. "Good morning," she mumbled, eyes darting around. The shopkeeper looked up. "You dey buy or you dey look? Please, did you see one fine girl, wearing school uniform?" The shopkeeper chuckled. "Oh, she don't go. Her driver call You know who she be? That not Tomi, the daughter of Alhaji Ajayi. Money full their house past sea water." The name hit Amina like a slap. She knew that name. Everyone in this part of Lagos knew it. The Ajayi family owned the big shopping plaza down the road, the one with glass doors and security guards that never smiled. Amina stepped back out into the sun, her mind spinning. Why was a billionaire's daughter alone in a roadside shop? Why did she look so unhappy? A horn blared behind her, making her jump. The black SUV pulled away from the curb, sliding into traffic. Through the tinted window, just before it vanished, Amina swore she saw a small piece of paper pressed against the glass. Something written on it. Something meant for her. Amina's feet began to move before her brain caught up. She balanced her tray with one hand and ran along the roadside, weaving between Okada riders and shouting hawkers. The black SUV was already several cars ahead, but Lagos traffic was a blessing and a curse, it couldn't go too far too fast. She pushed through a crowd of women selling plantain chips, her eyes fixed on the car. Then, a gust of wind lifted something small and white from the road. Amina's heart leapt, it was the paper she had seen. It fluttered dangerously close to the gutter. She lunged, catching it just in time, her tray of biscuits almost toppling. The handwriting was neat, slanted, written in blue ink. If you can read this, meet me here tomorrow. Same time. Don't tell anyone. No name, no signature. But Amina knew. She folded the note quickly, tucking it into the waistband of her dress. Her hands were trembling, not from fear, but from something she didn't recognize. Hope. But with hope came questions. Why would the daughter of Alhaji Ajayi want to meet a barefoot street girl? And why the secrecy? That night, under the rumble of distant generators and the smell of fried akara from a nearby stall, Amina lay awake on the wooden bench she called her bed. She stared at the note again and again, the letters almost glowing in the dim moonlight. By morning, she had made her decision. She would go. Even if it meant trouble. The next morning, Oshodi was as noisy as ever, drivers shouting, sellers bargaining, radios blaring Yoruba gospel songs. But to Amina, everything felt sharper, faster, like the world knew something was about to happen. She had washed her face at the public tap and tried to smooth her dress, though the fabric was too worn to ever look neat. The note was still tucked safely at her waist, as if touching it would give her courage. At exactly the same time as yesterday, the black SUV rolled to the curb. This time, the back door opened before the car even stopped. Tomi stepped out. Her uniform was just as spotless, her hair shining in the sunlight, but her eyes, they darted around quickly, like she was checking if someone was watching. When she saw Amina, she smiled, a quick, nervous smile. "You came," Tomi said softly. Amina shifted the tray on her head. "Why you write me?" Tomi glanced at the driver, who was busy with his phone. "Because I think you can help me. And I can help you too." Amina frowned. "Help you? You get car, you get driver, you get everything. Whatin you need from me?" Tommy's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm failing in school. Badly. My father, he doesn't know yet. If he finds out, he'll send me abroad to a strict boarding school. I don't want to go." Amina stared at her, confused. "So, I no be teacher. How I go fit help you?" Tomi hesitated, then opened her bag. Inside was a small math textbook, filled with scribbled notes in the margins. "I've seen you selling biscuits," Tomi said. "But I've also seen you reading. You're smart. I can tell." Before Amina could reply, a shadow fell over them. It was the driver, stepping closer, eyes narrowed. "Tomi, who is this?" The driver was a tall, broad man with a serious face, the kind of face that didn't know how to smile. His shirt was neatly ironed, and his hands rested on his hips as he eyed Amina like she was a stray dog getting too close to the gate. "Tomi," he repeated, his voice deep and heavy. "I said, who is this?" Tomi didn't flinch, but Amina saw her grip tighten on the book in her hand. Tomi began, glancing at Amina quickly. "She's my cousin. From my mother's side. Distant cousin." The driver's frown deepened. "Your cousin? Since when you get cousins selling biscuits on the road?" Amina's mind raced. If this man reported back to Tommy's father, everything would end before it began. She forced a small laugh. "Uncle, it's true. My mama and her mama be sisters. Long time we no see. I just dey greet her now." The driver looked from one girl to the other, his suspicion clear. You know your father no like you talking to strangers?" "I know," Tomi said quickly, stepping closer to the man. "But she's not a stranger. She's family." The driver grunted, clearly not convinced, but he didn't push further. "Oya, hurry up. We need to get to school before the bell." He walked back towards the SUV, still glancing over his shoulder. As soon as he was out of earshot, Tomi let out a breath she had been holding. "Thank you. You're quick." Amina crossed her arms. "Why you no tell am the truth?" Because, Tomi whispered, leaning closer, my father will never allow me to be seen with you. And I don't want to stop seeing you. Something in her tone made Amina's chest tighten. Nobody had ever said that to her before. Not with that much certainty. Tomi opened her school bag again and pulled out a small wrapped package. Here. Bread and sardine. You can eat it later. But tomorrow, I want you to bring one thing for me, your time. We'll meet here again, and I'll show you my homework. You can teach me. I'll pay you. Amina stared at the package, then at Tomi. Pay me. For book matter. I no be teacher oh. You can read. You understand things I don't. That's enough. Tomi smiled, but there was a nervous edge to it. I think you can be my friend. If you want. Before Amina could answer, the driver honked impatiently. Tomi gave her a small wave and slipped back into the SUV. Amina stood there long after the car had merged into the noisy traffic, holding the warm bread in her hands. The smell made her stomach growl, but the weight of the moment was heavier than her hunger. She had lied for a rich girl she had just met. She had agreed, kind of, to teach her. And now, she was part of a secret. That night, as she ate the bread slowly in the quiet corner where she slept, Amina wondered what exactly she had gotten herself into. Somewhere deep down, a voice whispered, secrets have a way of costing more than you think. The morning heat in Lagos had a way of clinging to your skin like a stubborn debt collector. By the time Amina reached the junction, the air was already thick, buzzing with the calls of hawkers, the rumble of buses, and the sharp smell of roasted plantain mixing with exhaust fumes. She had hidden the note deep inside a crack in the wall of the abandoned kiosk where she sometimes slept. It was too precious to carry around, too risky. Today, she came with nothing but her tray of biscuits and a restless feeling in her chest. The black SUV arrived right on time. This time, Tomi stepped out holding a plastic bag filled with bottles of cold pure water and 2 meat pies from the popular bakery down the street. She handed one to Amina immediately. For you, Tomi said with a grin. Amina hesitated. I no tell you say I come here for food. Tomi laughed softly. And I didn't say it's payment. It's just. I don't like eating alone. They sat on the low cement ledge beside the shop where they had first met. The shopkeeper gave them a curious look but said nothing, maybe still half believing the cousin's story. Tomi pulled out her math notebook, flipping to a page covered in numbers and half-erased scribbles. Okay, she sighed, this is the problem. I keep forgetting how to multiply fractions. Amina took the notebook carefully, like it was something fragile. She stared at the page for a moment, then looked up at Tomi. See, Amina began, when you multiply fraction, you know add or do story. She took a stick from the ground and began to draw in the dust. Top number times top number, bottom times bottom. Simple like rice and stew. Tomi leaned closer, her brow furrowed. Wait, so you don't have to make the bottom numbers the same? No, Amina said, shaking her head. That one no for addition or subtraction. This one, you just do 'em straight. She showed her with an example, wiping the dust clean and drawing another. Within minutes, Tomi's face lit up. Oh. That's why my teacher kept saying I was making it too hard. Amina smirked. Sometimes, rich people like to make simple things hard. Tomi burst into laughter, and for a brief second, they both forgot who they were, a street girl and a billionaire's daughter. They were just two girls, sitting in the heat, sharing food and stories. But then, a shadow fell across them. A tall, slim woman in a flowing Ankara dress stood there, her arms crossed. Her eyes, sharp as broken glass, locked on Tomi. Alhaji Ajayi, the woman said slowly, what are you doing here, with her? The way she said her felt like a slap in the air. Amina's stomach tightened. She didn't know who this woman was, but the authority in her voice made it clear this was trouble. Tomi quickly stood, clutching her notebook. Auntie Dupe, Your father will hear about this, Auntie Dupe cut in. Get in the car. Now. Tomi froze for a moment, glancing at Amina, then at the woman. Auntie Dupe was the kind of person who could make a whole market quiet just by walking in. Her head tie was tied so sharply it looked like it could cut paper. A gold chain rested against her neck, and her perfume was strong enough to fight with the smell of petrol in the air. Auntie, please, Tomi started, her voice small. But Auntie Dupe's gaze didn't soften. Get in the car. The driver was already holding the door open. His eyes met Amina's for a split second, cold and warning, before he turned back to the woman. Amina's throat was dry. She wanted to run, but her legs felt nailed to the ground. Then, something strange happened. Instead of climbing into the SUV immediately, Auntie Dupe walked over to Amina. She stopped so close that Amina could see the fine lines around her eyes. You, Auntie Dupe said in a low voice, what's your name? Amina hesitated. Amina. How old are you? 14. I think, she muttered. The woman studied her for a moment longer, then did something unexpected. She smiled. Not a warm smile, but not entirely cold either. Come to this spot tomorrow, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Alone. Before Amina could reply, Auntie Dupe turned sharply. Tomi, inside now. Tomi looked over her shoulder as she climbed into the SUV, her eyes wide with something between fear and curiosity. The car door shut. The black SUV pulled away, blending into the chaos of Lagos traffic. Amina stood there, heart pounding. Why would this woman, who clearly disapproved, want to see her alone tomorrow? Was it a trap? Or something else? That night, Amina barely slept. She kept replaying Auntie Dupe's tone in her mind. It wasn't just a threat. It was like the woman was hiding something of her own. When morning came, Amina made her choice. She would go. Even if it was a mistake. The morning was unusually cool, the kind of Lagos day where the clouds gathered like they were plotting something. Amina stood at the same junction, her tray of biscuits resting beside her on the cement. She had been there for almost an hour, wondering if Auntie Dupe would even come. She was about to give up when the familiar black SUV rolled to the curb. But this time, Tomi wasn't inside. The back door opened, and Auntie Dupe stepped out alone. Her Ankara dress today was green with golden swirls, her head tie tilted at a confident angle. You came, she said, almost like it was a test. Amina didn't answer. She was watching the street, ready to run if anything felt wrong. Auntie Dupe's eyes softened slightly. Relax, girl. I'm not here to harm you. She motioned for Amina to follow her to the small shop across the road. They sat at a plastic table in the corner, away from prying eyes. The shopkeeper brought 2 bottles of Fanta without even asking, as if this woman never had to explain herself. Auntie Dupe took a slow sip before speaking. I know your face, she said. Amina frowned. You know me. I just sell for road. The woman leaned forward. Your mother's name was Miriam, yes. Amina froze. Her chest tightened like someone had tied a rope around it. How, you know my mama? Because, Auntie Dupe said quietly, I was her closest friend. We grew up together in Ilorin before she came to Lagos. I was there the day she met your father. Amina's voice trembled. You lie. My mama no get friend like you. She died long time. I'm not lying, Auntie Dupe replied firmly. Your mother was special. Too smart for her own good. But she trusted the wrong people. People who wanted to keep her down. When she died, I tried to find you. But you disappeared. Amina didn't know whether to believe her. And now, Auntie Dupe continued, I see you here, teaching Tomi Ajayi mathematics. Do you know who her father is? Yes, Amina said slowly. Everybody know big man. Rich man. Auntie Dupe's expression darkened. Big man, yes. But he was also one of the people who made sure your mother never got the life she deserved. The words hit Amina like a sudden gust of harmattan wind. What you dey talk? She whispered. I'm saying, Auntie Dupe leaned closer, her voice now sharp as a knife. You and Tomi are connected in ways neither of you understand. And if her father finds out you are Miriam's daughter, it will not end well for you. Amina's hands tightened around the bottle of Fanta. She didn't know whether to run, cry, or demand the whole truth. But before she could speak, Auntie Dupe stood up, placing a small folded envelope on the table. Come to my house tomorrow. The address is inside. You deserve to know everything. Without waiting for a reply, she walked out, leaving Amina staring at the envelope like it was a live snake. Amina didn't sleep much that night. She sat on the wooden bench she called a bed, holding the envelope Auntie Dupe had given her. The address inside was written in neat, careful handwriting. She read it over and over, wondering if it was a trap. By morning, she decided. She needed to know. The address led her to a quiet street in Suralia. The houses here were neat and painted, with flowers in front and metal gates that didn't creak. It was the kind of place she only saw when she followed customers during sales runs. Auntie Dupe's gate opened before Amina even knocked. A housemaid in a blue uniform let her in. Inside, the air smelled faintly of lemon polish. Framed photos lined the walls, some of Auntie Dupe when she was younger, some of her with people Amina didn't know. But one photo stopped her cold. It was her mother, Miriam, standing beside Auntie Dupe, both of them laughing. Amina's chest felt tight. It's true, she whispered. Auntie Dupe walked in from the kitchen, holding 2 cups of tea. She placed them on the table and sat down. I told you, she said softly. Your mother was brilliant. She dreamed of starting a free school for children who couldn't afford education. She was close until she met Alhaji Ajayi. Amina's head snapped up. Tomi's papa. Auntie Dupe nodded. Back then, he was a businessman trying to rise. Your mother discovered something about one of his deals, something illegal. She wanted to expose it. But before she could, she died. Amina's hands trembled. You dey talk say, he kill am. I don't have proof, Auntie Dupe said, her tone sharp. But I know your mother. She would never have just fallen sick the way they claimed. Amina's stomach churned. She thought of Tomi, kind, curious Tomi, sitting in that black SUV, laughing over fractions. Did she have any idea what her father might have done? Before she could ask, a loud knock echoed through the house. The maid hurried to the door, but Auntie Dupe held up a hand. She walked to the window, peered out, and her expression turned to stone. It's one of Alhaji's men, she whispered. They must have followed you. Amina's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. What do we do? She breathed. Auntie Dupe's eyes locked on hers. We hide. And after today, you must decide, will you keep seeing Tomi, or will you disappear before her father finds out who you are? The knock at Auntie Dupe's door turned into pounding. Heavy, urgent, the kind that made the walls tremble. Amina's breath came fast. She had never been inside such a fine house, but right now, every corner felt like a trap. Auntie Dupe moved quickly. This way, she whispered, leading Amina down a narrow hallway. They slipped into a small storeroom filled with neatly stacked boxes and the smell of old wood. Don't make a sound, Auntie Dupe warned, closing the door until only a thin line of light came through. From the front of the house, a man's voice boomed, Madame Dupe, we need to talk. Now. It was deep, controlled, but dangerous, like a lion pretending not to be hungry. Auntie Dupe's tone stayed calm. This is my home. If you want to talk, you make an appointment. The man chuckled darkly. You've been asking too many questions about the past. Alhaji doesn't like that. And we know the street girl has been meeting your niece. Amina's blood ran cold. Through the thin gap in the door, she could see the shadow of the man's shoes on the tiled floor. He was only a few steps away from where she hid. Auntie Dupe didn't flinch. Your boss should focus on his business, not children's friendships. Children, the man scoffed. That girl is trouble. Alhaji says if she comes near his daughter again, she will regret it. The shoes shifted, turning toward the hallway. Amina's heart hammered. One wrong creak from the wooden floor, one sneeze, one twitch, and the man would find her. Then, Auntie Dupe's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Leave. Now. Before I call the police. For a moment, silence. Then the sound of retreating footsteps, the front door slamming. Amina didn't move until Auntie Dupe opened the storeroom door. Her expression was tight but steady. They are watching you now. If you go to Tomi, you'll put both of you in danger. Amina's throat burned. But she needs me. She's my friend. Friendship won't matter if her father decides you're a threat, Auntie Dupe said softly. You have to choose, protect yourself, or risk everything. That night, Amina sat by the dim streetlight outside the kiosk. She held Tommy's old note in one hand and Auntie Dupe's warning in the other part of her mind. Tomorrow, Tomi would be at the junction. Waiting. Amina didn't know if she would go. The morning came heavy with clouds, as if Lagos itself was holding its breath. Amina sat on the edge of the broken pavement near the kiosk, her tray of biscuits beside her. She had promised herself she wouldn't go. Auntie Dupe's warning was still sharp in her mind. But her feet had other plans. By the time the sun had fully risen, she was already walking toward the junction. Each step felt louder than the downfall horns, heavier than the smell of frying akra in the air. The black SUV was there, just like always. Tomi stepped out, her face lighting up the moment she saw Amina. You came, she said, hurrying over. I thought you'd. She stopped when she saw the tension in Amina's eyes. Tomi, we need to talk, Amina began. Her voice shook. Your papa. Before she could finish, another car pulled up behind the SUV. A tall man in a flowing white agbada stepped out. His presence was like a shadow swallowing the street. Amina knew without being told, this was Alhaji Ajayi. His eyes locked on her immediately. So, you are the one, he said, his voice low but full of weight. The street girl my daughter insists on meeting. Tomi stepped forward quickly. Papa, she's my friend. She helps me with school. Enough, Alhaji said, holding up his hand. Do you know who she is? I know exactly who she is, Tomi said firmly. And I don't care about whatever happened in the past. She's my friend now. Amina's stomach twisted. This was the moment she had feared. But before Alhaji could speak again, Auntie Dupe's voice rang out from across the road. She's Miriam's daughter, Auntie Dupe said, walking toward them with unshakable calm. And you will not harm her the way you harmed her mother. The street went quiet. Even the bus conductor stopped shouting. Alhaji's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. Something in Auntie Dupe's tone had pinned him in place. You will let them be, Auntie Dupe continued, or I will tell everything I know to the people who will listen. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then, Alhaji looked away, adjusting his agbada. Tomi, get in the car, he muttered. No, Tomi said. Her voice was steady now. If Amina can't come to our house to help me, then I won't go either. Alhaji stared at his daughter, then at Amina, then back again. Finally, he sighed. Fine. But this is your responsibility, Tomi. If anything happens, it's on you. He climbed back into his car, and both vehicles drove away, leaving the street buzzing again as if nothing had happened. Tomi turned to Amina, her eyes bright with relief. "We did it. He won't stop us now." Amina managed a small smile. For the first time in years, she felt like she had a place, not just on the street, but in someone's life. The weeks that followed were filled with lessons, laughter, and quiet victories. Tomi's grades improved, and she began standing up to her father more often. One evening, as the sun set over the rooftops, Tomi handed Amina a small envelope. Inside was an admission letter to a nearby school, paid for in full. "You taught me," Tomi said, smiling, "so now you get to learn too." For Amina, it wasn't just a chance at education. It was proof that hope, once found, could survive anything.
Thanks for watching.